hurry up the throws.
In Atlanta, no help from Roddy White for Julio Jones. Roddy is inactive, and Julio is up against Patrick Peterson. Scary matchup, right? Well, it is, but Julio is Julio. 32-yard touchdown catch for Julio Jones. And let's go to the couch with Kay and John.
Here we are in the Fantasy Zone couch. You never know who's going to stop by. John Ritchie, myself, Kay Adams, and let's welcome Adam Richman, everybody. Everybody knows who Adam Richman is.
Good to see you too.
All right, now we're going to talk about food and football, two of everyone's favorite things. Let's start with your fantasy team, though, because we know that you are deep in the fantasy football game.
I'm relatively deep, but not necessarily in the fantasy football game, but in deep doo-doo this season.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, you know, it's weird. I'm in Boomer Esiason's league. I have been for the past few years.
Is that a name drop?
It's,
oh.
well, no. A good name drop would be like if I listed off everyone in the league. It's a prestigious bunch of people that are very adept at smack talking. And when you're 1-11 going into week 12, it's like...
How did that happen? Who'd you draft?
You know what? I had a really strong draft. In fact, they do analysis. This is the thing. When you have Boomer and Carton running your league, you get proper fan analysis, and you get proper team analysis, performance analysis every week. Right. So I had the second strongest draft going into it. But my running game, which was one of my strengths, I mean, I had Martin and I had Jamal Charles, just immediately decimated by an injury, Tony Romo underperforming, and then having Charles Clay, Eric Ebron, you know, in the tight end place. It seems to be, though, like last year, I got laughed at for having the Seahawks, like for drafting the Seahawks DST really early, and then ended up paying dividends.
There you go.
And so all of a sudden they went really early. It just seems to be that certain positions like tight end, defense, if you can get those guys that are going to give you at least 10 points a week, you're pretty good.
Now,
you got to get those Jimmy Grahams in there.
Of course. Well, he had 0 targets today, so his fantasy owners are disappointed now. Our friend Guru says that you're a fan of his, so I'm going to give you a chance to kind of blame him for your bad draft and your bad league.
That's why we brought up the name.
He loves to name drop, so I kind of want you to say that he's not allowed to name drop you at all. Like, you can look in that camera.
Are you a fan?
Girl, I don't even know who you are.
And I feel like I can't say anything. You know what? I take as much fantasy advice as possible.
Yeah, from everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the little applications that you can get to, like, analyze your draft. I mean, it seems you have to play the waiver wire a good amount. And that's something else that I had to learn the hard way, that, like, fantasy, you can't sort of, it's not the Ron Popeil set it and forget it model. You can't just, you know, you have guys that will underperform. You know, I had my first season was amazing, and I'll name drop again. So me and Bobby Flay are in the same league, and I came up against him 3 times. And the third time I came up against him was in the divisional championship, and I think it's like the big ballers and shot callers, so like what we call our 2 divisions. And yeah, my running game was just decimated. So the thing is, you really have to be vigilant, I found, to really have a successful season, to play the waiver wire, to realize that, you know, when Riley Cooper is going to go off, or when Eric Ebron, who your deep threats are going to be. And, you know, I have to say, like, there are guys that have always been solid for me, like Edelman has always done fairly well. But, yeah, Tony Romo hasn't.
Real life. And Edelman's playing right now. We'll keep you updated in that as it goes on. Go ahead.
Great game. So real-life football, you're a huge Dolphins fan,
correct?
I guess. They're 6-5, big game against the Jets. What are you expecting?
Going against the Jets, I think we have a good chance this season at least. You know, and also Tannehill's been great. I mean, you can't take that away from him. He's had, what, over 200 yards the past few games, 2 picks, you know, thrown for 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 200 yards each game. I think he's really, really good. Their defense is obviously really producing, which I think takes a lot of pressure off the offense. I mean, it'd be nice to have a Dolphin team with a running game and a throwing game. I came up in the Marino years. There was a lot of throwing.
Yeah.
Right.
Ricky Williams was there. There was no throwing.
That's why you're a fan?
You know what? I'm a fan largely because of Marino, and I always was really struck by the fact that, like, when he set the touchdown record, he never took any of the credit. It was his offensive line. It was Clayton and Duper. It was Shula. It was the people of Miami.
Yeah.
And when clearly the offensive line had let him down or the receivers were dropping balls, he took it on himself to think about what he's done for autism and autism research after the game. I mean, he's the type of competitor that I've always admired.
Yeah.
I even have his little starting lineup
That's
figure
awesome.
on my desk.
Sweet.
From like age
Oh, you're
6
a
on.
huge fan. Okay.
I came dressed as Dan Marino for Halloween a few years back. I gave out fake isotoners to people in the village. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
It was pretty ridiculous.
All right, we've talked football. Let's talk a little bit of food, because I've spent many a Saturday lost. I haven't done anything, and I've just watched Man vs. Food on a marathon.
Me
I think
too.
we can all admit that
Yeah.
that's happened. And you have an incredible audition story that
Oh
you
my
need
God.
to share with everybody.
Yeah,
I haven't heard it yet. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Well,
me
this
too.
is very funny because we're sitting here with someone else who auditioned for the show.
Yeah, I know. We know that.
I was also at
It's a very
Katz's.
sensitive subject, Adam. Don't bring it up.
I doubt I would be as effective at football analysis as Mr. Ritchie is. You know, the thing is for me, I had already been through, I guess it was like 6 or 7 rounds of auditioning, of screen testing, of
Right.
checking my credentials, my food cred, and so on. But I knew that the final screen test was at Katz's Deli, and I was like home field advantage.
Of course.
Like, oh man, I called like everyone through the Jewish mafia. I was like, what do you know about Katz's? Let me know. So I did all this research, and I went there like the day before the audition, and I bought Katz's T-shirt. I went to the laundromat, washed it like 5 or 6 times to make it look weathered, cut the neck out of it, so it looked as though it were old, and I had a black sweatshirt on. I did my whole intro read outside the restaurant, and I said, oh, and if you think that I'm reading this off a cue card or from a big fan of Katz's Deli, I unzipped it and I went, this is my actual T-shirt. Big fan. So flash
You
forward.
liar.
Authentic.
Oh, well, I just
Deceptive.
I had to go for it, but
Yeah.
I had to go for it, and then
Ruse.
ironically enough, I guess it was episode 18 of season 1, the very final one. It was in Minneapolis, and one of the executives was there, and he was telling me about the audition process and looking through the film, and he said, man, that moment when you unzipped your hoodie and showed the T-shirt,
That
you're like,
was
that's
it?
our guy. I was like, yeah.
Why didn't
believe
you
it.
think about
Well-
that? Now, just so we know, everybody, the Green Bay New England game is in the 2 box. I think Shane Vereen got a carry as expected, playing on over 70% of snaps. So there we have it, and we'll keep you tuned in to that.
Yeah, my story on the Man versus Food thing, I also tried out. I auditioned to be on that show because I love eating. And at Katz's Deli, I felt like I knocked it out of the park. That I got to do a challenge. I did the stand-up outside, and I got to do an eating challenge. And in retrospect, I guess I had a half an hour to eat this thing.
Yeah.
And I housed it so hard. I had my adrenaline pumping. I took it down so quickly, I felt like the challenge was lost on me, and I might have lost the gig because I was too good at eating. Is that possible, Adam?
I don't know, because I ate the whole thing as well, obviously. I did. It was a double Reuben, right? And,
Yeah.
and I was like, and then I also went for an order of fries.
And we had fries, the whole plate of fries.
Exactly, and I did that, and I had a cream soda, and I did a celery soda.
The egg
thing
cream.
is that you
Living
had
the
was, you had, wasn't Hayden Christensen and Rachel Bilson?
I did.
weren't they there?
Yeah, they were in there, but I wasn't able to talk to them.
I remember
know that.
hearing about these big audition stories there. It was a crazy audition, and again, ironically enough, the gentleman in the control room right now, Q, was my boss at MSG Networks, and my
It's a small
first day at
world.
MSG was the day I had my audition.
Really?
So for Man vs. Food, so I had to like waddle uptown to the garden, and I remember sitting
After
there in the
eating that?
control room, and they're like, "Adam, are you all right?" I'm like, "Guys, this isn't normally how I eat, and this is not going to be a regular occurrence, but I have like a
did they
bowling
know.
ball of deli
Yeah.
just sitting here, and like
That's
my liver and
amazing.
my kidneys are about to like tap out."
Well, you were so, I mean, amazing on that show.
All right,
You
hanging
brought
out
your knowledge
with
of
Adam
food.
Richman, Man vs. Food fame. We know that. We have a new show on NBC as well called Food Fighters, and a book coming out this spring called Straight Up Tasty. Tell us about that.
Correct. So Food Fighters, we finished season 1. It's home cooks taking on professional chefs.
Nice.
And it's really cool, 'cause a little bit of strategy. One home cook brings 5 of their best recipes. They don't know who they're competing against or what their expertise is. So they try to find recipes that they make in the chef's blind spot. And yeah, Straight Up Tasty is my first ever cookbook. And the subtitle is Meals, Memories, and Mouthfuls from My Travels. So it'll be like a dish I tried in Croatia, but with ingredients
Oh,
from like
amazing.
a Carolina spice rub. Translated to a little bit of like a deli in Brooklyn or something. So I've got some crazy dishes, and some are like very simple, some are a little bit more involved. But my whole thing is I'm not a trained chef. I've learned from trained chefs. I've worked in lots of kitchens since I'm 13 years old.
Wow.
But I wanted it to be about flavor first and culinary exploration first, instead of, you know, foams and emulsions, and if you don't buy this $75 piece of equipment, you can't make the recipe. I think that's BS.
Now, you mentioned Croatia, and you have been doing a lot of work actually in Europe with NFL Europe, right?
I have. I deliberately, I wish I could say I did this. I am such a slug. This was still on my jacket in the closet. So, you know, obviously the poppy is the big symbol of remembrance for Veterans Day. And the NFL is super involved with veterans causes over there. And it's crazy. You go to Wembley, this 90,000-seat stadium that's hosted Olympics and FA Cup finals and League Cup finals in soccer. And then all of a sudden you go there and there's like 85,000 rabid English football fans. Yeah. But what's crazy is they don't necessarily wear jerseys of the teams that are playing. They'll wear like an old like Manning Colt jersey, and they'll wear like an Icky Woods jersey and a Brett Favre Packers jersey, and you're like, ooh, really? And they're there, and it'll say a thing. It'll say like, Raiders fans, your teams are on the pitch. And I'm like, on the pitch? Oh, they're on the field. They're on the field. I got it now.
That makes sense.
And then, yeah, I support the Ravens. Yeah, I support the Patriots.
You have a good British accent.
Yeah, thanks, love.
Nice.
I tried.
He just better,
I'm from Staines and I support the Bears.
He's just better than everything, isn't he?
He is.
Adam Richman, guys, pick up his book, Straight Up Tasty, this spring. Check out his new show on NBC called Food Fighters as well. Such a pleasure to have you. Football, food, you were like, I'm so jealous of you, eternally.
Thank you.
Let's take you back out to live action. A huge game. You got Aaron Rodgers taking on Tom Brady for the first time ever. Let's send it to Lambeau.
Find a way to get open.